Okay, thank you so much, and very, very, very honored to have Brandie Wells on the show. Brandie Wells is a well-known compassionate clairvoyant. She's an angelic healer, a certified hypnotist, and a psychic medium. As a renowned psychic medium, she has expanded to bring love and light to the world, which means so much to me. And she really exposes her clients to the light and darkness of the soul, from paranormal fields through angelic realms. So, Brandie, thank you so much for being on the Awakening series. I am so honored and blessed to have you here, and I just can't wait to jump in and ask you a few questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love any platform of exposing this work, so I'm humbled and honored as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So just a little bit about your background. I've heard quite a few amazing things about you from different people, and I was just so thankful that you responded to my email. If you can just give us some insight on your journey to where you are today.
Yeah, well, I actually feel that we are all connected intuitively. But for me, it's always been very natural that I draw in or attract those who need. So even as a child, it was animals that were injured. They would always come to me. I'm like a magnet for those in need. And, moving up through even my childhood, I was always the one who knew the child in my class that was abused or unloved. I was always the one who was volunteering to help the children that were disabled, or, I'm just a natural healer. I am an empath first and foremost. And for anyone who's listening, an empath feels before anything. So it's like feeling the world around you amplified. So I've always been extremely connected to the emotion of the world and those in need. So my first job was actually in a nursing home. I was 14 and I was a cook for 12 people. And my favorite thing was just getting to know all of the not just the staff, because I really enjoyed the staff as well, but of course, all of the residents there and having close relationships. That was my first experience with experiencing death as well. We lost a lot of, it's a nursing home setting. So it was a really good learning experience for me. And I then moved into working with individuals with disabilities, and I did that for 20 years. Yeah. And I had this uncanny ability to connect people to the things they needed. And it ended up becoming a joke. A lot of people would say I was like the fairy godmother. They would come to me because maybe they needed a bed or needed clothing. And it was so specific what would come in that, you can't even make up some of the things. This is one of my favorite stories. A man, he was wheelchair bound, had come in to the community center I was running. And this was a community center for individuals with disabilities and the homeless population. And he needed a coat that had Velcro, but I kind of would just put out to the universe, this man needs a double XL jacket that has Velcro so he can close it on his own with his one hand he was able to use. And within 24 hours, I would get an email from someone out of nowhere. Like the universe has just, got my back to connect the dots to bring something to someone that, that need. And this was my favorite story. Within 24 hours, somebody emailed me and they said they had a whole bunch of clothes. They wanted to donate them. And I asked what size. And then I asked, do you happen to have a jacket? And does it have Velcro? And I had it within 24 hours. But this would happen all the time. It wasn't just once in a while. So it led me on this path of curiosity. I've always seen the angels. I've always been aware of the angels. But it led me on a path of wanting more, wanting to learn more, understand why I was so connected in the way that I was. And I started with angelic healing. So that is where my journey really began, with spiritualism, and connecting to the realms. So that led me to where I am today. And, I feel all spiritualists will tell you your journey is your own. I have taken courses in palmistry and dowsing, angelic mediumship. There are so many ways that I just wanted to enrich myself, and being able to bring it to others started about 5 years ago for me. And that just has developed over time as well, because as I grow and connect to the spirit realm, they lead me where I'm supposed to go. So it's been a really neat journey, to where I am now. And I mean, there's so much more to me in what I do, but that's really the short of how I got here.
I love it. I love it. It's a beautiful story. And the fact that you work with, people in need, and you're giving back to them in such an amazing way. And you found your unique niche, if you will, as far as giving back. It's lovely. And I mean, those people really, really need people like you, and you were there. So thank you for that. That's so wonderful. Yeah. Can you give us some insight, as you are a clairvoyant? What exactly is a clairvoyant?
So I prefer to be called a clairvoyant over a psychic medium, because I see people as a field of energy and a human experience. I am looking at the energy body. So within the energy body, I connect to what I call the lower thick vibrations of their being. That's the parts of you that maybe there's resistance or healing that needs to take place in order to raise your vibration. So that is where mediumship will happen sometimes. I will pick up in somebody's vibration, loss, or tragedy. And mediumship is the person between heaven and earth that holds space for spirit. So I do integrate mediumship, but only when it's deemed necessary. Sometimes people come to me and they really are in a good space with their grief, and it's not on the forefront, but maybe their loved one will pop in anyways. And that's always fun, because it helps bring guidance through message. So as a clairvoyant, I really just open up all of my senses. I actually go into self-hypnosis. So I channel through self-hypnosis, and it takes me into a higher plane. I start channeling message, and I really listen to the vibration of somebody's being. So I do a lot of, can you say your name? I want to listen to your name. Or maybe I'm connecting to somebody's father, and I'll have them say, can you say father? I listen to that vibration in order to call in higher self messages. Higher self being your spirit guides, guardian angels, the archangels, deities that perhaps you work with, God. I open for all of it. And so it's a combination of ways to connect, but I'm really just trying to channel that energy.
It's beautiful. I love it. I've not heard many people say that they are in tune with the vibration of the voice. That makes sense, as the word in the beginning of, like, for example, the Bible, the word, it's like the word and it happened. So that word, that vibration, that energy is what makes things happen, I guess. And to hear that, it makes sense. I've never heard of that. That's very cool. Thank you.
That's something I developed, though, is what's interesting. It didn't just, I didn't do information here and there on my journey, but I feel I've just been channeling spirit. They lead me. And I am a student to spirit. I'm very professional in my field, but I am always learning. And I never know, when I make a connection with someone, I don't know what spirit's going to bring to me. It's fun, it's intriguing, it's emotional, it's exciting, it's everything, but I am a student every time.
Yeah, that's I love that. Always learning. Do you feel like during this time, the COVID-19 time, that your audience and or your clients have changed or shifted a little? I mean, are we all in like a grieving process? Like, it's almost like every single one of us, whether we know it or not, are kind of like in this grieving process together, because we're not seeing our friends, and we're not, in the same vibration we were previously, which is good and bad, I think.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting question. I don't feel my clientele, I feel they need me for different reasons right now. And I offered up a 15-minute mini read, and I'm calling it like a little soul booster. And I'm really just trying to reach as many people as I can. And that's why I said I put a lot of energy into my work. I love what I do, but I have never opened myself to so many clients. in a day. I usually only allow 2 or 3 hours, and I'm really just trying to reach as many people as I can. So I'm offering, 15-minute mini reads. I'm offering Zoom spirit circles, which, 50% of my clientele, they were already remote. So it was a very natural transition, but now I'm connecting to more people, and it's more condensed. So, and what they need from me is reassurance. A lot of times people come to me and they're just looking to get grounded. They're very ungrounded. So I always open with a ritual for grounding, and that alone just helps anchor someone and clear their energy field. I call it verbal Reiki, really.
I like that.
I'm able to shift them, and that's the goal. So I think my clientele they just need a little more, they're not just wanting to connect to a loved one. They want to feel complete at the end of their session. And I am accomplishing that. So
that's wonderful. And for those that don't know, when you say grounding, does that mean people have energy here and there and their thoughts are everywhere, and basically what you're bringing it in? Is that?
Yeah. So you need to be grounded in order to really open yourself to the divine. I always explain, so being grounded is your root chakra, being connected to Mother Earth. If you are connected, you are able to open yourself to other energies. When you're ungrounded, it creates a fragmented energy. And I always explain the number one sign of being ungrounded is anxiety. If you have anxiety, it means get one with Mother Earth, get grounded. There are many ways to get grounded. Mother Earth is the first. But when you're grounded, you're able to go into forward motion. When you're ungrounded, it's like cycling on a hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. So I always explain that you need to get grounded in order to move forward, to have intention on your path.
I love that. That's the first step. How can one ground themselves?
So I always say to go out in nature. Anytime we connect to nature, if you can't get out in nature, open your window, close your eyes and feel your feet connecting to Mother Earth. Call in a clearing of your energy field, saging, smudging, burning a candle. Those are all elements that we pull in to clear our energy. So the quickest way is to get one with nature, but if you can't do that, there are so many amazing guided meditations on the internet, and it's free content. And that's what I do often. I'll find guided meditation to ground your energy. But here's the funny part. People don't realize that guided meditations, they're actually hypnosis. Which is moving your subconscious mind into your truth. And so I always laugh because, people hear hypnosis and they get a little like, hypnosis, you're going to go into some trance or something. No, hypnosis is moving your subconscious mind into your conscious. So it's really about settling or calming your subconscious to work with your consciousness. So I love guided meditations for that. I think that's the easiest way to to really do that for yourself. But also movement is very grounding. So drumming, jumping, running, walking, that's also very grounding for people. And music can do the same thing because it has that same rhythm in your energy field. So music with a really good beat actually grounds you.
Oh, that's such a good idea because of the vibration, and it brings your mind into this rhythm, if you will.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you for that explanation. I did see, and I've always been interested in the paranormal events that they have at historic locations. I've gone to a few historic locations and just did some tours, and there's always some type of paranormal event, whether it be in Prague when you go on the day tour or the night tour in New Orleans or whatever. They're very fun, but if you wouldn't mind telling us more about your site visits and what you do with the paranormal when you're there with the audience.
Yeah, so that's another element of my work, and it always throws people off. I am an angelic healer, but I also really enjoy the paranormal field. But that's why I say I work with, like the shadows and the light of the spirit realms. I enjoy the paranormal first and foremost because it's intriguing. It is fascinating. Why does spirit make themselves known? And I like to get to know spirit and find out why. So I host events through my business, 555 Paranormal Productions, because it's teaching people how to connect to the spirit realm. So I do a lot of teaching at my events. I'm in various locations throughout New England, New York. I've done some in Chicago and LA as well. But I enjoy it because I'm teaching people what they're capable of doing. So I open up these events to teach dowsing and to teach people how to work with equipment, but I'm not doing it all on my own. I always bring in some very experienced paranormal investigators who have that high-end equipment. I'm not a techie, but I do work with equipment very intuitively, and the people that I bring in are just amazing. It ends up turning into a very social experience for people. Most come as strangers, leave as friends, and I've seen some amazing friendships flourish from connecting at these events. So, for me, I like to explain that it is like getting to know a friend when you connect to spirit, when you're doing paranormal work. And I try to open people's minds to, these were people just like you and I. They don't become scary or negative or evil just because they're in spirit. That is media sensationalism that teaches us that. I enjoy teaching people, how do you get to know spirit? And I will literally ask them questions like, let's see. Okay, so there was a man I was connecting with at one of my events, and he made himself known. We heard his name, and I asked him what was his favorite meal when he was here. And he loved lamb and potatoes. And we heard him say lamb and potatoes. So, and it's like, well, what better evidence is that than, having a conversation with spirit. So, I really enjoy that part of it. It's intriguing. And I think it's also neat because most people come and they think they're going to be scared and it's going to be, this terrifying experience. And by the end of the night, they're like, that was really cool. I didn't know that I could speak to spirit that way. I didn't know that I could connect to the little boy that used to live in this house. So, for me, that's what the paranormal is about. It's learning, experiencing intriguing encounters, and capturing evidence respectfully.
I love that. Can you moving away from the paranormal, even though I love that too, is so interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this event. I may fly out there and do one with you one day. I love it. But as far as your daily ritual, what do you start off with? Do you start off with like a guided meditation to ground yourself in the morning, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Once again, it's something I've developed over time. Before I even open my eyes in the morning and I realize I'm, coming to, I do not do mornings, by the way. It takes me a long time to get grounded. I'm a night person. I was up last night until, 1:30 in the morning. I've always been a night person. That's when I get the most done. So mornings are hard, and it is a big joke in my house. Like, don't talk to me for a little while. So before I even open my eyes, I speak to spirit and tell them everything I'm grateful for. I start my morning, my first thoughts are gratitude. That is the highest vibration next to love. And gratitude attracts more abundance. So I do work with the law of attraction a lot, and I teach people a lot about the law of attraction. And through gratitude, you feel the emotion of connecting to your highest good, living your best life, and it attracts more. So that is the first thing that I do. And then I sit up on my bed and I put my feet on the ground because I had a really hard time grounding, and I still do because I'm such a light being and I am in the spirit realm about 40 to 50 hours a week. My mind is up there, my being is up there. So it takes a while for me to ground. So when I get up in the morning, I put my feet on the floor and I call in my gods, guardian angels, spirit guides that are walking with me on my path, and I ask them to connect me to the divine spirit realm, and I ask this white light to enter in my crown, go all the way through my body, down into my roots, and anchor me to Mother Earth, and then I ask Archangel Michael to protect me through my day. And it's a very quick ritual, but it's it's really what sets my day into motion in my work.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I love that. How long do you think that takes you?
5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. That's perfect.
But sometimes when I have, like this morning, today's my more quiet day. I took today off to gather and kind of pull myself back together, because I give myself away a lot. So I need days to replenish. But, I was in bed longer, so I started thinking about other things that I want to say that made me feel good. And I was, really working with some things maybe that were painful, and how I'm going to move through those things and ask my guides to help me with it. So I was having a little more conversation with Spirit this morning because I had time to. So
I love that. Yeah. And I love that you replenish yourself. I'm glad you mentioned that. It is very important to replenish ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially during this time, even though we don't think we're doing a lot because we're at home working, we still are working. It's a mental stress of working, being at home, possibly with kids, and to give yourself some time by yourself is very important. I love that. Yeah. So at night, do you do the same type of thing and kind of calm down, or is it just a different type of ritual?
It's a similar ritual where I actually will call in Archangel Michael to cut away all the cords of energy from everyone that I serve that day. And I honor them for coming to me, but I release them. And then I ask Raphael to fill me with green healing light. And then I talk about everything that I'm grateful for. Mm-hmm. So it's usually, it's a form of prayer / ritual, but, and I always work with an oil that it's kind of like my little reset button. And I usually put the oil across my throat chakra because I do a lot of talking, which is really funny. I was an introvert when I was younger.
I could never tell that you're an introvert.
Seriously, I talk for a living. I talk so much. So
that's amazing. What a change.
Right. Yeah.
What a beautiful change.
Yeah.
So I did notice that you work with crystals, and I think you have a store, and I'm sure you probably have crystals there. Can you give us some insight about crystals? I'm not too familiar with crystals, but I know they're beautiful, and sometimes when you buy them, you feel a little different. But other than that, I don't know much.
Yeah. So I do own a store in downtown Keene. It's Soul Emporium. And in my store, I sell, I think we're up to about 175 different crystals. And crystals, I explain to people that computers are made of crystals. They move and store information. And that is what crystals do. They move and store information, and they hold different elements and vibrations within them. And it has been scientifically proven, and that's what I think is really cool about it. So crystals are kind of like tofu. What you put into them is, what they'll appear to be. And I work with crystals in many different ways. I work with them in meditation, and I will hold them and ask them to bring me information. And sometimes I'll ask them to do work for me. So I'll show you real quick. Here's a crystal behind me. So I've got this crystal here. And last week, and I asked this crystal if it would do this for me. And I made the statement and then put the crystal on it, and I put it in the new moon energy in my windowsill, because it was an idea about a new beginning, something that I'm working on. And I know that it is the truth and it will happen. And I feel that this crystal has so many different, if you look at it, it has so many different facets and angles, and there's a lot going into this idea. So I felt like this was a really good crystal for that. It's about bringing together a lot of different elements and collaboration, but if you look, it's all going in the same direction. They're all going in the same. So, I felt like that was the perfect crystal for what my intentions were. So, people use them for different things, healing, calming, manifesting, protecting. It's endless what they can do for us, but it's really the energy you put into them that they hold for you. So that's how I work with them. I know many people who wire wrap, and so they'll wear them, close to their heart chakra. And that also is very helpful. And when people are working with them and asking them to work for them, I usually say, bring the energy in on your left side. So keep them on your left pocket. And if you're trying to move something away from you, you'd want the side that you deliver your energy to the world, you'd want it in your right side or right pocket. So those are some quick little tips around crystals.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And for one, that crystal right there, did that come from your store?
I don't remember where this one came from. I have so many crystals that, and as I travel, I love supporting other metaphysical stores. So I never leave without something in my hand, and it's usually a crystal. So I think that I got this, now that I recall, I think I got this at a metaphysical store up in Maine when I was doing an event up there. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Thank you for the insight on the crystals. That really was helpful. One last question about crystals. Say, for example, if you've had a crystal for a while and you want to gift it to somebody, how do they, I guess, get rid of any of the whatever the crystal has in it, I guess? So what you're talking about is actually also called psychometry, which is energy and objects. And that's what we're doing with crystals, is we're like sending energy into them. So you can always reset the energy of your crystal by either cleaning it in salt water or charging it in the moonlight. And the new moon is always about new beginnings, and the full moon is about release. So if you wanted to charge your crystal and release the energy, I would do it in the full moon. That's what most people will do. They'll put it, on their windowsill or outside. Good to know. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite part about being a spiritual healer, Brandie?
The fact that I can be creative. I'm extremely creative, and I can do so many different things to get the message out as to what I'm doing. I'm always pulling in new elements and connecting to new people. I'm always collaborating. I'm always at a new location. It's just endless creativity, which is fun. I mean, it just completely feeds my soul.
I love that. And I learned recently that every thought we have is a new creation. So every doubting thought we have is doubting the creation. So the more positive thoughts we have towards whatever it may be, the more creation it has to come to fruition, I guess. So I thought that was really beautiful. So what you're saying really resonates with me. That's lovely. I love that. Creation, creativity. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. As far as the best advice you've received, what is the best advice you received? Was it when you first started, or did you hear it recently? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, gosh, there are so many things that we take in from every experience, and to pick just one. When I was taking a course with, oh goodness, it's so hard to pick one.
You can pick many.
What's that?
You can pick as many as you'd like. We're open.
Yeah, and so it's like I've got so many different thoughts here, but I think the best thing that I've ever received is that the key to truly believing and being able to interpret and give message is you have to trust completely. Mm-hmm. Trust is the key to confidence, connection. It really is. If you didn't trust yourself and what you're receiving and your own spirit guides to deliver that message, it would never be received by the sitter. So I think trust is the key to being a spiritualist that can bring message to others.
I love that because, I just like I was mentioning, the more you don't trust or the negative thoughts you have against whatever it is, it's not going to happen the way it could happen if you didn't purely trust. Oh,
right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what next for you? What are you looking to do by the end of this year, possibly? Or what did you have on your your 2020 vision board that you haven't done yet?
So I have a lot in the works right now. I'm always creating, like I said. I do have some oracle decks that I'm working on, and I really do enjoy bringing an oracle to my readings, but I am excited to integrate some different elements into an oracle deck. So it'll be a fun project. I'm working on that. But even more exciting is I've been working on a school, and I'm in the approval process. I was told today that this is approved verbally, just not on paper yet. But I am opening a school, and I'm very excited about it because for me, what I want to teach, it's not for me as much about teaching the mediumship and clairvoyance and, the tools of divination. What I'm the most excited about is a program that I have called Launching You. And it is to help spiritualists gain the confidence in their marketing skills and branding in order to be successful and professional and attract clients. I really want to bring more spiritualists forward. I do this naturally anyhow. Any of the spiritualists that I connect with, I'm constantly helping them connect the dots for, scheduling and websites and, how to market, how to use Facebook to your greatest advantage. So this is the part for me I'm excited about because I'm going to end up bringing so many healers out into the world.
You're right. And if you don't know about a certain product, nobody will ever benefit from it. So you're right. The people have to 100% market. And if you don't, you're just your own word of mouth. But I mean, how much can you get out? So right. I love this idea. That's so smart. And thank you for helping all these wonderful spiritualists. Who knows, maybe we'll all be using one of them that you helped market. Or get them to market. That's wonderful. So as far as advice for your potential clients and audience, what advice would you give them during this time?
During this time, I am working with a lot of people around what I always talk about as self-hypnosis, which is actually affirmations. We use affirmations to shift our subconscious mind to become our truth. And so I've been working with people a lot on, first of all, being very careful about what you listen to in media. It's very toxic, so be very careful. And to not really feed the fear. So anytime there's a fear that comes in, acknowledge it, forgive yourself, and then work with a message of reassurance. For example, if all of a sudden you were feeling fearful around, going to the grocery store, and that's a big thing right now for people, you're taking the right precautions. And so you'd say, I forgive myself for being afraid, but I know that I am safe. I'm taking all the right precautions. So I know it sounds very simple, but, for some people that coping skill or ability to move through those emotions can be very triggering and ungrounding. So I'm working a lot with people to more secure through this time. And it's tailored to each person. I mean, we all have our hang-ups, right? I mean, mine right now is trying to keep my store alive. So I've been really creative with ways on connecting clients to my merchandise to keep it moving. So I was a little bit afraid at first. And then I was like, ground yourself, listen to spirit, it's going to be okay. And then all of a sudden I got flooded with all of these ideas from spirit on how to move merchandise, and I can now pay my rent. I'm going to be just fine. And it just was that moment of fear and how to move through that and trusting, so I'm doing a lot of reassuring, and I hope that people can take from that, affirmations help shift your mindset. Your mindset shifts your outcome. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So working with things like I am safe, I am healthy, I am secure, all of my needs are being met. Those are affirmations that you can work with to shift your mindset, and you will truly embody that truth.
That's so wonderful. Thank you for that. Yeah. I didn't ask, but I wanted to. What is an oracle that you're bringing into your practices or your practice this year? You mentioned Oracle twice, and I'm very interested.
Yeah, so I use automatic writing as I channel, and that's how I receive message for people. And that's when I go into that self-hypnosis and I start channeling messages from higher self. But I also work with a lot of different card decks. Mm-hmm. And they keep the energy light. They connect. This is an angel deck that I use. They're upside down because I'm just showing you they're sitting next to me. I use them when I'm doing readings on here. So I have 3 different decks I work with, and they open up some message in a lighter, more meaningful way. I actually really enjoy it because as I connect to loved ones, once in a while I'll hear them go, I'll use those card things. And I've actually heard that, or, can you pull a card? And so I'll pull a card and it'll be exactly the topic. Maybe someone's looking for love and I pull a soulmate card and I hear their loved one like laughing because they knew that was, exactly what they needed to hear. And then I start hearing as I connect, like September, you have love coming up, so loved ones enjoy working with the oracle cards as well. And oracle cards are different than tarot cards. Oracle are very free-flowing. They don't follow a system, where tarot follows a very rigid system. And I'm not a system person. Like I said, I'm very creative. So anytime it comes to methodical thinking in my sessions, I almost can't do it at all because I'm so high up in the realms that I have to just let the energy flow.
That's awesome. That was so cool. Wow. Thank you so much for that. And those cards are beautiful. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. So if you wouldn't mind telling the audience where we can find you, and also where we can find your store, so we can possibly get some amazing merchandise like Crystal.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you can find me on brandiewells.com. That's BRANDIE Wells.com. I also host paranormal events through 555paranormal.com. And my store is soulemporium.net. And in addition, I've got the website going, and I've started this. It's the beginning of a process, but my school that I just registered is the American School of Clairvoyance, and that is the website, americanschoolofclairvoyance.com. It will be a combination of various teachers and workshops, and about 50% of that will be virtual as well. So be on the lookout for that in September of 2020. But I love social media. So if anyone ever wants to connect, go to Brandie Wells Compassionate Clairvoyant. I do a lot of live reads there with other readers. I do a lot of giveaways, inspirational messages, and I really do love social media. But that's because I love people. So
we can follow you on Facebook. Okay, perfect. So that sounds very cool. I'm going to have to take you up on that offer and be a part of one of these events live, which would be super fun. So absolutely. Is there like a newsletter we can sign up for on your website?
Yeah, if you go to brandiewells.com, you can sign up there. And I'm not one to bombard, so you won't get a lot of content. I probably only do 1 or 2 newsletters a month. And I usually include, some sort of a promo that I'm doing. I try to reach as many people as I can, but I'm one person, so I try to be careful about overextending myself. I usually only book a week or 2 before. It's not that hard to get in with me. So
very cool. Thank you so much, Brandie. It was such a pleasure. You're such a blessing. So excited to see you in the future, see what you're doing, and congratulations on the new school and the accreditation on that. That's wonderful.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Love and light to you, my dear. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.